Congratulations.
Cheers.
75 episodes, baby.
That's crazy, man. 75.
That is crazy.
We did it. I don't know if there's much more I need to be able to make fun of commercial real estate professionals at the level I wanted to coming into this.
Okay.
I think I'm there.
Yeah?
I think I'm there. And you pretty much taught me everything you know, right?
Well, we should probably just shut this down then.
I want to thank our listeners. You know, we just started getting like crazy momentum right now. I mean,
I go out on top, you know, kind of like John Elway after 2 Super Bowls. Just
That's right.
Go ahead and retire.
Or Constanza, when he learns that once everybody makes a big laugh or whatever, stands up and walks out of the room. It's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's great. He's like, okay, I'm out of here.
Is that Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never really got into Seinfeld much.
That's okay. Thanks everybody for listening. That's it.
Yep, we're out.
Cheers. No, we'll keep going.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
All right, fine.
Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, the CCIM.
And this is the Commercial Real Estate Investing Podcast where my brother teaches me everything about commercial real estate because I know nothing. I know a little bit more now, but I still ask the questions for you. For you and everybody.
For you.
In. Yeah, for you.
Special.
Yeah, special. Yeah, man. Like, it's been a crazy ride so far. We'll talk a little bit more about it soon, but we are going to take just a few week break. That does not mean that there's not going to be things published, but we're just kind of recharge. And like from the very beginning of this, it's just you and me going full force, just the two of us. And then of course, Alice came along and helped, but
yeah.
But with that, I mean, if you remember the very first episode that we did, I was like, we just need to get on Zoom and record something and go from there. And so it's all been just a learning process and a learn by doing process.
Not only that, but just like everything else we try to do around here is how can you take something that is good and working and make it better and more efficient? And so we're introducing somewhat of a new model for the podcast in doing seasons. So if I thought about it, I wouldn't have gone 75 episodes for season 1.
Well, sure.
But moving forward in this seasons model, it essentially gives us natural on-ramps and off-ramps and makes what we're trying to do here more sustainable and gives us the opportunity to rest, take a little bit of a breather, just a little bit, and retool and try to make things better. And it gives us this space to think about how commercially speaking can continue to evolve and get better.
We're basically announcing that and let you know what's to come, what's going to happen during the break. Take a look at some of the highlights, some of our favorite moments.
Yeah. Kind of like those Friends episodes back in the day where they would have all the flashbacks, you know. I don't know if you're going to be
There'll be a few
flashbacks, but we can at least talk about some of the things we really liked and thought went well and get your feedback as well.
Ted, tell me a little bit about that experience that you've had, because you're the one traveling around to all these commercial real estate events over this last year. Can you just like share a little bit about like that first moment? Because I remember you texting me being like, I've never felt like...
I forget exactly where it was. It might have been Seattle at the CCIM governance meetings where I got there and everybody wanted to talk to me. Not everybody, it's overstating a little bit, but like all of a sudden I had some notoriety that A, I didn't expect, and two, had never really happened before. And I remember who it was to the first person that ever asked me about you. Do you remember?
It's Jim, right?
It's Jim Rosen.
Yeah, because we talked about it when he came over.
I remember exactly where we were standing in this hotel in downtown Seattle, and he asked about you, and it threw me off.
Yeah.
Like the question was completely out of context for where my brain was at the time. And then all of a sudden, like, how's Timmy doing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Who's Timmy? Yeah. You know, like it just didn't fit for me. And that was sort of the beginning of now, like anytime I teach a class or there's normally some people in the class that have listened to the podcast and we're starting to see like 1 or 2, maybe 3 people that'll go to the course because they've listened to the podcast. Right. Which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been and now all kinds of people ask about you all the time.
I know. It's
so much so that I'm bringing him to the Houston CCIM governance meeting. So Timmy will be there.
I'll be there.
And yeah, we're going to spend some money. We're going to bring Timmy.
Yeah, I'll be there, and I'll be asking questions all throughout the event to people randomly too. So if you want to be on this show, that's, you know,
yeah, Timmy will have a microphone and a camera, and
yeah. I can't wait. That'll be super fun. And then I'm going with you to an event in November, which
Massimo Con.
Yeah, Massimo Con. I get to go to that.
Not only are we just going, but we're speaking at Massimo Con.
We are. We're allowed to talk about that?
We are, I think.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It was going to be a secret, but no.
Yeah.
No, we're on the agenda, so
I can't wait.
Yeah, that's going to be.
And we had Rod on not too long ago, and that just sounds like an incredible event. So all you brokers that are listening, like,
oh man.
Yeah.
And that's in November in Dallas. That literally, he's done Massimo Con one other time, and it was 2 years ago, and I went. And I talked about this in a previous episode. I almost didn't go because I was, so involved with the Massimo group for so many years that, I thought it was going to be our core coaching content that was going to be delivered. And I ended up going just to see, I got a bunch of friends in that room, and that I missed since I hadn't been working at the Massimo group. So I went just to see the people, and it was the best conference I've ever been to in any arena. It was unbelievable. And this one I expect to be even better. And so if you're in the commercial real estate brokerage business at all, anywhere, you need to figure out how to make it to Massimo Con in Dallas in November. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, and if anything else, I mean, come meet us.
Yeah,
we want to meet you. We want to meet you. Well, I do want to talk about a few of the highlights and recap a little bit. I want to go all the way back to our very first episode. I just want you all to see what it looked like. So here's just what it looked like here.
I think the term that comes to the head for me is basic bitch.
Yeah.
Have you heard that term?
Yeah. I have not.
You have not? Oh, okay. Well, this is for the half of the audience that knows that term.
It was super grainy. The sound sounded good, but that was before we figured out we could use our iPhones as the video.
Yep.
I was in Chicago, you were in Owensboro, and it was just like, hey, let's
old school webcam.
Yep. Let's go. Let's talk about this economic-based analysis, which we just talked about again. I think we'll continue to talk about it.
It has kind of been a theme of the show, but it is a little bit of a superpower in commercial real estate. It gives you the ability to anticipate demand.
Yeah.
And that's just so powerful. So
to be able to
I'm
see
sure
the
we'll
future.
continue to talk about that. But, and I remember thinking this, I forget who said it first or where I heard it first, doesn't really matter. But they said if your original product, whether it's a show or whatever it is, video course or whatever, if you can't look back a year or two later and be embarrassed about it, you waited too long to launch it. And so I remember when we did that first episode that it was like, all right, let's just make this exist.
Yeah.
So otherwise we're just going to delay the start. And so, just getting it shipped and out there, I think was important for us. But I look back and I'm like, man, we've come a long way since then. I don't know that I'm embarrassed.
Your look has transformed. You're in a lot more healthier spot right now.
Sure.
Yeah. So maybe you're embarrassed by, your Marshmallow Man face. I don't want to body shame, but woof. But that was good.
Thank you.
That was good. I'm proud of us for going to do that. And for those that don't know how this all started, not to go all the way, to go all the way back, how it started was you called me up and you were wanting my advice on like social media.
Hey man, this is Bo. Hope you're doing well. I was calling to see how Una's doing with her elbow. I also wanted to ask you a question about social media. So you get a few minutes. Certainly doesn't have to be tonight. Hopefully I'm not, my call didn't disrupt anything. But just want to get a few minutes, next couple of days, we shout if you would. Thanks, brother. Love you.
All right, I wanted your advice. I didn't want you to try to turn this into a job for yourself, That was my first thought. And then I was like, well, why not? And then that's when you called me. And at that point, I didn't even know what format the show was going to be in. I'd been up to strategic coach, and my coach, Stephen Nooner, has a podcast. And and he doesn't even know it, but like him having his podcast and coaching us, and really, he just brought me to a point where he's like, are you going to do it or not? I was like, well, I want to do it. He's like, no, are you going to do it or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. He's like, all right, well, go do it then.
Yeah, go do it.
So I came home. I started, all right, I need to figure out who's going to help me and how to set it up, and started talking to you.
Right.
But I didn't know what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
Am I just going to interview people? Is it just going to be me talking? And that's when you called me.
Yeah, I did. I called you. I left you a voicemail, I think.
Wouldn't it be a lot more fun for you and I to sit down and just record each other talking on Zoom or to each other each week? You know, you got your blog in front of you and you're doing it in a conversation rather than talking like right to the camera. Ultimately, I mean, you could take the audio and just release it, a weekly podcast. People seem to really pay attention to that right now. I know I do. When I see videos like that, it's like, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. They're on a podcast.
Well, have you ever had the moment where you've got all these ideas floating around in your head and you're not really sure how they all fit together, and then somebody sort of just grabs the thread and yanks it and everything falls into place?
Oh,
that
yeah.
was that kind of moment for me, and I was like, oh, that's it. And then I started having all these doubts about, well, as soon as we start to do this, he's going to end up being a series regular on the best new Netflix show ever, and like I'm going to lose him. But then I was like, whatever, let's just stink and do it.
But I mean, that was a legit concern, was like, and how involved can I be? And if I am, you know, co-hosting with you, and I was like, even if I did get picked up on a TV show, there's so much downtime. My whole idea was like, once we get this going, we get it working as a machine, you know, hire a team to begin to produce it, whatever it is that we build, we could still record episodes and stuff. But.
Yeah, and at the time it was all virtual anyway. Like you lived in Chicago, we were doing it, you know, on Riverside.
That's right.
Sponsor us, Riverside.
Yeah, Riverside. Riverside's great. Yeah. And so anyway, you ended up meeting with that company that was going to produce podcasts specifically. And I joined the call on that. And after that, I was like, no, at that point, I was like, he cannot go with them. Nothing against them at all. I was just like, I can do this. I want to do this. You know, let's go.
Yeah.
And then we did. It was jumped in and we did.
And then you moved home.
And that's what's crazy is I'm here now. I'm here in Owensboro. Never thought I'd be back. I was just talking to my best friend Leland, who you know about this. You know, we got some things in the hoop as well that we're working on. And but yeah, and now we're here, and it's just crazy the shift in my life and how I feel lighter. And because not to go down this road, but as an actor, it's like I'm getting auditions all the time to do crazy things. Like, I want to see a self-tape of you shaving your face, right? It's like, okay, you know, good money. I'll get good money for if I get this Gillette commercial, you know, right? But this is not why I'm into acting. And very grateful for all those commercials I've done. A lot of them have been super fun. But I just hate, and we've talked about this before, where I just hated not having control over so much of it. And where I really came alive and what I really loved is when I produced my own stuff. And this gave me that outlet to do with you in a new world and to learn about the family business I knew nothing about, you know, that Dad did and now you did, you do. So yeah, that whole thing has been crazy. It's been real crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we did a few episodes, right? We put them out, and then we had our first guest. And so I want to give a few shout outs to some of our guests, all of our guests, anybody who's been on the show.
Sure.
Big ups. But first one was Lonnie Hendry.
Yeah, Lonnie Hendry is 1/3 of the podcast Trapwire.
He just gave us a massive amount of context on what's going on in the commercial real estate market.
His expertise is really in the CMBS commercial market, CMB, commercial mortgage-backed security. Well, right now I feel like the Happy Gilmore of commercial real estate.
Man, you seem to be striping it right down the fairway.
My daughter's name is Birdie, so.
Man, Lonnie's been a huge friend of the show
From the beginning.
and has become a really good friend. We've had him back. I think he's the
only one who's been on it twice.
He's a trove of information on what's going on in the economy. Great communicator.
Shout out
World-class guy. Him being our first guest was...
That was really awesome. And I thought it was a little nerve-wracking for me because I'm like, who am I talking to? I don't know this person. He's part of your favorite podcast.
This is my brother, Timmy. Timmy, this is Lonnie.
Hey, Lonnie.
Timmy, when it comes to commercial real estate, he's an idiot. So we have to use small words.
And by the end of it, he offered me a job.
That's right. He offered you a job.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the man. If you ever need a job, let me know, man. We'll try to figure something out. All right, let's go. Get you in the CRE space.
You can't have him.
You can't have him, Lonnie.
That's what you said. That's what you said. In around that time, too, was the first time we got in the same room. You came up to Chicago, and we went to SVN, to their conference room.
That's right.
Set that up and did it in the same room.
And I remember after that, it was like, ooh, I really like being in the same room. Like different dynamic, energy. And everything about it was elevated. Like the production quality, the videos was better, all that. It's
closer to what we do now as far as angles, setup, lighting and stuff. I think that might have been the first time you saw what could be done rather than just lighting our own rooms and looking at the camera straight on.
So what were some of your other favorite guests?
Yeah, so a few of my favorite guests, but some of my favorite moments was a couple of them are recent too. Was when we had Rod on and his camera zoomed out and you saw he wasn't wearing any pants.
If we have 15 years of data, right? That cameras went, whoa, let's get that. Yeah, I do.
Whoa!
For the record, I do have pants on. Look at that. I do
Look
have
at
pants
those great looking legs.
I work out every day, folks. I work out every day.
I think he had shorts on, but
He
you got to see
shorts
it.
on.
That's Rod Santomassimo for all you listening at home. That was that was a lot of fun. He's got one of those cameras that like follows his gestures or his movement and stuff. So I think he went wide with his hands and it just zoomed out. Yeah. And there's his,
there you can see right under his desk.
There's his legs.
Beautiful legs. Shout out to Rod Santomassimo and his beautiful legs. But I loved that whole episode. It was the camaraderie of all three of us, I think, was really, really fun.
Well, and that's because we had history too.
That's right.
So Rod was a great guest, and I knew he would be, but we had history. Like when I was with the Massimo group, I hired you to come, and we talked about that in that episode. But there was that funny story about how he gave you this laundry list of things you couldn't do, and your response was, okay, I'll do that, and I'll do that, and I'll do that. And I'm sitting here thinking, you don't tell Timmy what he can't do. It becomes his to-do list, know? And I was like, I'm so getting fired. But, no, that was great. But we had some history, and that was a lot of fun. Another episode that was kind of like that for me was the one with Brad Ahrens.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of camaraderie there, and frankly, it surprised me a little bit. I'd known Brad for years. I don't think you'd met him before.
No, but there was a special energy on that one.
Yeah, there was. And a new business has basically grown out of that episode. Like he and I have started the Hearthstone Capital investment fund. That's probably going to be my main thing moving forward at some point.
That's incredible.
And that was a good episode too.
Yeah.
I remember when my wife listened to that when she was like, that one was really good. Yeah. Like I always get great podcasts, but that one, she was like, that one was really good. It was a different kind of connection with the guest there.
I agree. And I remember too, in that episode as well, like there was a bit of I saw, like, cause we had talked a few times about some possibilities for you moving forward to just kind of go a little bit bigger, a little bit more. And one of them was like, I guess it would lead you into development. And this is one specifically where I saw our guest who had been in an area that you've been toying with a little bit and just straight up was like, hey, what's some advice you'd give to Bo here?
Let me ask this, because I know, and you mentioned it, you're interested in moving into the low-income housing, and that would involve development, which is kind of a new beast for you.
Yes, and scares the crap out of me.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got...
But why?
Yes, but why?
And there's just a whole lot more moving parts. So all those things are in the unknown, haven't quite done it yet category. Therefore, it scares me.
Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Sure.
Because I think this will resonate with anyone trying to get into investments. What is one thing that could probably eliminate all of those fears?
Well, I'd collaborate with somebody who has done and is good at doing all of those things.
That's it.
So I guess, yeah, that was one of the first times where I felt like, oh, I saw someone that could challenge you or give you some advice.
Yeah.
You know, where it's just been on the other.
Just about anybody can challenge me and give me advice. But
Absolutely.
That's not really the role
but
most guests are in on the show, you know.
But there are some people that you get it from where it's just like, oh, wow. You know, that was Brad.
Yeah.
That's Brad in that moment. Another one of my favorite moments, which again is a very recent one, is when Chad,
Griffiths,
where I asked him, you know, he just got done explaining how much he lives, breathes, and sleep industrial real estate. So I asked him just straight up, you know, if you love it so much, why don't you marry it? And his response was the perfect response that could have come. Question right off the bat: if you love industrial real estate so much, why don't you marry it?
I would if I could. I don't think it's legal. Like Canada's pretty restrictive. We got a lot of draconian laws. I don't think it would be legal to marry industrial estate. But if we got a more progressive government in here and they could actually sanction that, and I could get a priest, I would actually do it. I would marry it live stream. I'd marry industrial real estate during a live stream.
That's one of those moments that I actually got people texting me about. Like top producer Todd Humphreys texted me and he goes, I can't stop laughing.
Yeah.
When Timmy said, why don't you marry it? The funny thing about that was I saw that one coming. Like I felt like I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know that I reacted like,
your reaction was funny because you're just like, I knew that was coming.
But that was a funny moment.
It was so funny. I'm so glad I asked him that. Another one of my favorite moments was when I came to Owensboro to visit. And we recorded a few. Eric Christopher was one of those. And we recorded a few at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Autumn's office, we kind of kicked her out.
Yeah. It's 2 moments from there. One of them was we were starting to record and all of a sudden the lawn people were out there and the guy looked just like Kid Rock.
Yeah. He had the bandana and all that.
Yeah, we're like, we got to wait for Kid Rock to finish.
Stories about how these things can play out in different ways.
Let's pause for a second. He's like right there. That's fine. Let's just hold.
We're holding.
It's cool you got Kid Rock to do your landscaping. Ball to ball to bang to bang digga digga.
Hey, when I was in boot camp,
yeah,
at the very end of boot camp, there's the crucible.
But that actually led into a really great story of you at boot camp, and then here at Kid Rock, which brought you back to the real world for a second and kept you going. Ball to bang digga digga. That one. My name is Kid.
Just hearing a little bit of music that we were familiar with just completely energized us. Like I was wide awake after that. And I was like, I know that song.
Yeah.
So when I got out of boot camp, I think I was about to turn 23, which would have made you 13.
13. Around the time you got your Globe and Anchor and my dropped. At Y2K. You know, New Year's, the balls always drop. Anyway.
I think we're ready to proceed.
All right. You mentioned this when we were talking through this earlier about the coffee spill when we had Eric Christopher on. I spilled my coffee.
You spilled coffee in your lap.
Yeah.
There's a whole part of that episode where it's me and Eric, and you basically edited yourself out because you were cleaning up.
Yeah.
And I just kept rolling like it didn't happen. And
right.
Eric didn't really know, and so
yeah. I'm gonna find that footage and put it in here if I find it.
Yeah, we can add that spill to the Patreon.
They just don't want to talk about tenants, toilets, termites, or trash anymore, which is totally understandable, right?
Timmy just dumped a drink on his lap.
Gotta be careful saying termites around me.
Hold on. I'll be right back.
Hey, I'm all cleaned up.
Okay.
Bo helped me clean up. So yeah, back to termites.
For me,
yeah,
the episode with top producer Todd Humphreys, I don't remember anything like specific about that episode, but we laughed like 50% of it. We laughed so much.
That's a great one.
That was
producer
just,
Todd Humphreys.
That one was just fun.
I mean, he's not that good at real estate, but he's great. This would be a good time to talk about our Patreon, where you can sign up for an unedited.
I should have said that and said, I'm not bullshit.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to go around fixing.
I'm sweating right now.
Oh my god, that's great.
Listen. So when I see Bo get a little uncomfortable, I really like to push it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah. All right, question 2.
Do you remember the first time I said top producer Todd Humphreys like that? It was really early on.
Yeah, it was pretty early on.
Yeah.
Like by the time he came on, it was a
thing.
You can't say it. Well, you can't say it normal. You have to with the inflection.
Top producer Todd Humphreys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I was just wondering if you remember when that happened. I don't specifically remember, but it's very early on.
And the funny thing was, because one of my other favorite episodes was when we had Dad on.
Yeah.
That was really cool, especially like your interest in his history in the business.
Yeah.
Was fun to watch. Like I bet if you scored or counted what percentage of our episodes I'm actually talking versus you.
Yeah.
I bet that episode I say less words than any other episode.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I was really just watching you guys interact, and it was just really cool because Dad did a great job telling the history of the company and kind of what he was thinking and what he was going through at different times and stuff. And your interest level in it all, because I think a lot of that you just never heard before.
No, I hadn't.
And that was really fun to watch. Like I really enjoyed that.
That was one of my favorites as well, as far as like in the room recording.
But the funny thing was for a while, Todd's episode was our top performing episode and Dad's was second. And Dad would call me for a while and he's like, what do I need to do to beat Todd?
Yeah, he kept texting me too.
He was trying to figure out how to get his numbers up.
Where's it at?
I was well, promote it on all your social media channels, Dad.
Yeah, have Mom send it out to her email list. It'll go.
Yeah.
It'll go. Nobody be able to beat that episode if Mom did that.
That's so true.
But before we move on from Dad's episode, I loved it so much. I loved it, and he seemed to love it so much. And afterwards, too, he took the thumbnail, made it his business card.
That's right.
Yeah.
The thumbnail of that episode is on the back of his business card.
That's right.
And
I was like, that was. I'm so happy we had that. We recorded these stories, because those are going to be the just amazing memories of Dad way into the future, and just so glad we got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Codie's episode was kind of like that for me too.
Yeah, Codie's was awesome.
Well, just family, but like, man, what she shared about personalities and even how transparent she was, and having Gunnar, her son, in here as well, was nothing to do with commercial real estate other than you could take what she was communicating and apply it to your marriage, your business, whatever.
Right.
But
so good. And I thought about this too. And while we're on it, I do want to have her back and have her do you and me, right? So rather than going into all, there's just so much to cover. Just really through the lens of typos.
Just use us as guinea pigs.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. I think that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That'd be a good way to do it.
There's 3 other episodes though, like specific guests that I really, really enjoyed. One of them was Jim Rosen.
Yeah. Whew.
For a number of different reasons. One is he's such a great communicator, and he communicates with a lot of relational warmth. And 2, he was talking about 103 stuff, like user decision analysis stuff. And that's not my lane. And so I took that class way back, but I learned a ton. And that was another episode where you and him interacted more than anything. And I bet I didn't say a whole lot.
Yeah.
I was just kind of soaking it in.
Yeah.
And we went along with him. We turned it into 2 episodes.
That's
but
right.
Those were really, really strong. Every time I see him, he's asking about you. And so you 2 interacting.
That was really cool.
It was almost like he was treating you like a celebrity.
Yeah. I've got an email from him because I think I mentioned him in the last episode.
Yeah.
Just an email just saying, thanks for the shout out.
Yeah.
This dude, Jim Rosen, you're amazing.
Yes.
You're incredible. And he does sound like maybe our first number 1 fan. Like he when he came on, he knew about every episode. He was referencing back to early episodes.
Oh yeah.
Like that blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness.
Because look, in the CCIM world, he's one of the instructors you want to grow up and be that good.
Yeah.
You want to be as good as Jim Rosen. Like, he's an aspirational instructor in that world. And to have him digging something that we're doing is like, that's a...
Yeah, it's good. It made you all warm and fuzzy.
Warm and fuzzy. Yep.
Yeah, that was
good.
really great.
The two other ones, though, were when we had Bob Knackal on.
Oh.
Just getting to ask him the question of how's the market and letting him roll. That was a lot of fun. Because we'd done an episode and used him as an example. But then to get him on, Bob, how's the market in New York City?
How's the market in New York City? Well, Bo, I'll tell you, I think the New York City market is headed for the largest sell-off in history.
Wow.
In using Manhattan as a microcosm of the market, south of 96th Street, there's 27,649 buildings. The average turnover rate of that stock of buildings has been 2.6% over the last 40 years. The lowest it ever was before the all-time low at the bottom of each of the corrections the market has had. So we'll go back to the early 90s during the S&L crisis, go back to the recession in the early 2000s. It had gotten down as low as 1.6%. Well, in 2009, during the GFC, it went to 1.2%. The highest the turnover ever has been was 4.3% in 2012, as investors were rushing to beat the 3.8% capital gains tax that was embedded in the healthcare law. And we believe that with what's going on now in the market, that turnover in 2025 and 2026 will be over 5% in each of those years, setting a new mark for transactional volume in New York City.
Over 5%.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of folks who, the interesting thing, we could talk for a long time about the market, but basically
5 minutes later,
more than anything, and needing to raise capital to refinance and hold on to the properties that you want to hold on to.
Now, see, is that not much better than answering that question with an adjective?
It was so much better. Yeah.
And that was a cool moment. I really enjoyed that. And then with Michael Hironomous, when we did that last AI episode, and he just sort of took us through. Of course, he's a good buddy of mine. Oh, yes. And he gave us this. I forgot about that.
He'll be in every episode, at least in that.
And that episode has been now for a while one of our top 3.
Mm-hmm.
And one, he's a great communicator. He's just fun to talk to.
He's great.
What he knows about AI and commercial real estate, it's just a hot topic right now. And so he gave our audience something I think they were craving a little bit of.
Extremely valuable.
And he was so good at explaining it.
And before we move from Daynon Kirby was also one of my favorite guests.
What do developers have to be grateful for?
Their erections.
Lots.
Because I love the topic, and it's a topic that's kind of like, oh, do we go there or not? Because when it comes into like DEI, right, and everything surrounded it, and getting his take on that was great. But like one moment that was so funny was at the beginning before we were rolling, but it's not in the thing where you took the bold leap to ask him like, what's the best way to address a person of color, right?
Yeah, except I didn't say it that well.
Yeah.
I'm always scared to ask it. Oh, yeah. Hit record.
We got to hit record if you're going to do a potentially embarrassing question.
But like, just say it. I never know what's the right thing to say when it comes to like, do you say a black man or an African American man, or like the PC part of this just, it confuses me at this point, and I always second guess myself. Yeah. So I'm like, well, I know you well enough. You can probably just tell me what's up.
I'll just tell you what's up. So depending on context, but in this case for professional, it's African American.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like, if it's more casual, you're talking, it's like, black man.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you, man. Yeah. I'm glad you asked questions, because some people don't.
Well, yeah. And he was like, hey, when it's in a professional setting, African American.
Yeah.
And when it's not, perfectly okay to say black.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, all right then.
There it was. Yeah. And he was so gracious and like, it's so good that you ask,
Yeah, it's like he appreciated me asking instead of going, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how I felt. But
I view myself as, more the liberal. I've been in that world where just surrounded by all kinds of diversity, being in the theater and an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what a question. You know, I was like, yeah, it's fun. And then his answer was different than I thought. I was like, whoop. Speaking of Michael Hironomous and AI, our first taste of virality was from the ChatGPT short.
I tell ChatGPT, you're a Forbes writer and you're going to interview me for my profile in Forbes. Ask me questions one at a time until you get enough information to write my profile. In a nutshell, that was it. I hit enter and it just starts asking me questions. And it's like having a conversation, like it responds to what you say. Oh, that's very interesting. And then all of a sudden it spits out your bio. And my first thought was, it's way too long. And so then I said, look, cut that down to 800 words. And I'm like, cut that down to 3 paragraphs. Cut that down to 60 words. Cut it down to 15 words. And you can just continue to work with it and say, okay, try it again this time, but emphasize more of my commercial real estate experience versus my time in the Marine Corps.
I just remember you texting me ever so often, like, we're almost at 100,000 views. Almost at 100,000.
Oh, yeah,
It's not breaking 100,000. And since then, I think we've got 500,000 on one of them. I forget whether it's the one where I offer you a Zen. Would it be like all the other really cool Broy podcasts?
Why, with the Zen?
Would you like a Zen? Have you ever had one?
No.
Oh, they're incredible. Non-addictive, even though it says it right there. They're great. It's like nicotine without all the harmful benefits.
Harmful benefits?
Yeah.
And you know where that stuff's made, right?
Kentucky?
Owensboro, Kentucky.
Zen?
It's made right here by Swedish Match. Maybe not the menthol line. Is that what you have there?
Yeah, it's a menthol line. Would you like one?
No.
It's so great. It really helps with the focus without all the harmful benefits.
Harmful benefits. Okay. And now we, too, look like we're sponsored by Zen.
Yes, we do. I'm probably cut that.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. I don't want it's nicotine. I don't want to be like, hey, unless they paid us. But I think our latest taste of virality is so funny because I don't know how often you go on there and look, but on the one where I show you I edited a clip from the mentorship one on how not to mentor. And there are even now, there are comments coming in thinking you are the most pompous a-hole.
Oh, yeah. Can I take you to coffee and pick your brain?
Yeah. This one? You want to pick this brain?
Yeah. Busy, successful people don't like when somebody asks, hey, for my own benefit only, can I have some of your very valuable time so that I can root around in your brain and extract what I need? What a selfish ask. My guess is nobody really means for it to come off that way, but that's how it comes off. And I never had a class on how to pursue a mentorship relationship with somebody who would actually help me out.
Right.
But what I've had my entire life are great mentors.
Right.
They just happened.
Right. I posted one after that that gave more context and gave the valuable answers.
Yeah, but that one didn't go viral.
That one, no. It's got a lot of traction, but there's this one here. There's like...
You know, when you go online, the thing in the back of your brain that tells you I shouldn't say this to somebody's face because they might punch me.
Right.
That gets turned off.
Yeah.
And so online, you can just be as big a jerk as you want.
Right.
Because there's not a threat of return bodily harm.
Right.
You know? And so people just get terrible online. And so I remember the first one, I think I was mentioning the book I read, Peter Zion.
That's right.
About China and Russia. And,
right.
And I was trying to share with you what I learned from his book.
That's right.
China and Russia will cease to be powers in the next 20 years. The reason we have a global economy is because there's basically safe transportation of goods. And the reason there's safe transportation of goods all throughout the world is because the U.S. Navy has policed shipping lanes ever since the end of World War II. And he's suggesting that that may come to an end, and that when that happens, it's not going to be safe to ship all these goods from China to the United States, and we're going to have breakdowns in the supply chain. And at the same time, when you look at the demographics in specifically China and Russia, they're not having enough kids to sustain their population, not even close. China and Russia will cease to be powers in the next 20 years. And the Western Hemisphere is going to have some painful changes, but will basically be okay.
If he's right, like Russia and China being superpowers and a threat to America being a superpower, or the threat of war on a World War III scale seems like, well, stop policing the waterways, and that might do the trick.
Or like if they see it coming and they realize, hey, if the United States does this, it basically seals our doom and we've got nukes, it might force our hand into, let's go ahead and have this war now, which is kind of a frightful idea.
Thank God Elon Musk is trying to get us to Mars.
And people thought I was having some take on China and Russia.
Right.
And man, they were awful. But that was one of our first ones that went viral. And I remember kind of being at the dinner table with the family, and I was like, hey, check this out. And I was kind of showing them how many views and stuff. And so Maddie pulled it up. I was like, no. Baby girl, don't read the comments. You don't want to go in there. Like, it's ugly in there. Just look at the number,
Yeah. If I remember correctly, she even went to the ones that were, like, there's a section where you can look at comments that weren't in those comments.
It's like filtered out because they're
filtered.
so nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's still there. We're not taking that stuff down. No way.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. Those are a few of our favorite moments, right? And as long as we're, remembering those and shouting people out, Alice.
Oh, man, Alice.
Alice. Yep. Alice is incredible.
So she's our assistant on the show. She's our scheduler. She's our producer. She makes everything work together well. And she's even come on the show as a guest.
She has.
And she was wonderful.
She was wonderful. And we'll have her back again.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're going to be working with her and in that company that she works for.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're coming on as a sponsor of the show.
They are. We're super pumped for that. And that's to come in season 2 as well. But all about virtual assistants, executive assistants, and go watch Alice's and go watch those because those are incredible. But we've got more to come with that, which is exciting. But Alice, we love you. We say bye to Alice at the end of every show. That happened once, I think, when she was on. I was like, okay, like Alice is here in the studio, in the virtual studio with us. Let's say bye to Alice too, right? And then from then on,
I think last time I saw Jim Rosen was in Salt Lake City a couple months ago for instructor training, and he told me to tell Alice hi. I was like, awesome.
Yeah, no, I think when we launch like T-shirts and merchandise of that, I think the two that I really want to have on there are top producer Todd Humphreys and Bye Alice. Yeah, I think those would be fun.
No, that's awesome.
Those would be fun. We'd love to hear your favorite moments as well. Are there some moments that stick out? Some moments where you maybe heard the podcast and then came back to it later and then continued to listen, and just moments that hooked you, that you like, that you love. Like, we love to hear those.
Yeah, and it'll give us a feel for how we can continue to get better in season 2.
100%.
So it'd be very, very helpful for us.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
And that leads us right into requests for feedback.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, the most valuable thing you can do to us for us right now is typically we say leave a review if you can, or if you haven't, share. All those things are true. But right now, we want to hear straight from you, and we're going to take these answers and really, this is going to help structure what we do for season 2. So everything from the pace of the conversation, is that too slow, too fast? Which one of the hosts would you get rid of? Would it be me? Would it be Bo?
Don't answer that.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to that.
No, I don't think so. You've got the knowledge. And in any segments, like we do pop quizzes on almost everyone where I'm learning something new. Is that something that I thought it was a great idea? I love doing it. Do you all enjoy doing that? Is it testing your things? So are there segments that you would remove or whatever? We want to hear the feedback, and we're putting a form together, which we'll put in the newsletter. So if it's not in the show notes, when you listen to this, then sign up for our newsletter. Subscribe to
.wgbarron.com.
Yep. It's a free newsletter. It comes out every single Thursday. While we're at it, hit subscribe, ding that little bell. You follow us on all social media platforms.
So tell us about the break.
Yeah, so we're taking a few weeks off. We'll be coming back on
Monday, October 14th.
Monday, October 14th, we'll have a brand new episode.
And in between now and then, we're still recording some episodes, which there's a good chance we'll live stream when we do that. If you go on YouTube and follow us and click that little bell, it will notify you. So what Timmy does is he goes on there and he schedules the live stream,
Yep.
and then it'll notify you.
Mhm.
So I've had some emails, hey, how do I get on the list to be notified when you do something live? And I'm
Yes.
like, we don't really send out an email. We don't always know with a lot of advanced
Right.
knowledge when we're going to do that.
Right.
But
Which we're getting better at. This is kind of a new area for us. So
Yep.
we're in the middle trying to get that better.
Where do we live stream?
We live stream-
Facebook, Twitter,
Yeah.
LinkedIn,
Yes.
and YouTube.
And YouTube. That's right.
So if you'll follow us on those social media sites, then you should be notified.
That's right.
Or you'll get a notification.
You will. I think the best place to not miss that will be YouTube and X.
Yep.
Right. So on YouTube, hit that little bell. You'll know when we go live. On X, I announce it. That's where a lot of our audience is.
Mhm.
That's where I find a lot of them are interacting.
Yep.
You know, so yes, follow us on X, which is Speak Pod. And throughout this whole break, I am going to be taking some of these old ones that we have done and putting them out there, but as full ones that maybe if you just started listening in the last 6 months or so, and you have
Like you'll put it out there on X.
I'll put it out there on X, and I'm talking about if you are a main listener of the podcast platforms, we are still going to be pumping out some shorter segments, which I don't know what I'm going to call, maybe I'll call them commercially speaking side chats, but it's really taking different topics that we have discussed within an episode, and I'll be putting that out on its own.
Okay.
We'll be doing that on YouTube and X as well. So there's going to be plenty of while we
Content.
Yeah, plenty of content that you could take in that you probably never heard before. Some bonus stuff, maybe some things that haven't been released at all that are cut out for whatever reason or another. But so we're not going dark for this time, but we are coming back with brand new full episodes on the podcast platforms on October 14th. And in this break, like you said, we do have a couple lives that are lined up that we're excited about.
And speaking of the lives, when we come back for season 2,
Mhm.
one of the things we're going to try to have some consistency on is, and I think starting November 1st, we can probably pull this off fairly well. Most Fridays at noon, we'll go live with a live stream.
We're having a blast with the live streams, and we love interacting with you all.
Well,
live.
that's why it's a blast, is
Yeah.
because we actually get questions coming in that we can pose to the guest if we have one, or I don't know if we've actually live streamed when we didn't have a guest.
Yeah. No, we haven't.
But
we will.
But yeah, it gives us a chance to interact with you guys.
That's right.
And that is a lot of fun. It adds a whole different
Mhm.
energy level.
We already have several guests lined up that we're excited about.
Yes.
And again, if you got any feedback or anybody that you want us to talk through or talk about, like, please let us know.
But season 2, in logistically speaking, will look a lot like our first 75 episodes.
Yeah.
New episodes on Mondays.
Mhm.
We're going to try to add the Friday live streams.
Right.
And then otherwise, you
Yeah.
might just see some tweaks. And based on your feedback, we may get some really great ideas to level
Right.
up our game.
That's right, right, and really get talk about things that you all really want to hear about. Yeah, this is the point where we do shout outs. A big shout out to Justin5756. This has tons of information and insights. Hidden gem of a podcast. That was 8 days ago. Thank you so much. Oh, one thing we didn't mention, we haven't mentioned yet. We got on the top 10 commercial real estate podcasts of 2024. For CRE Influencer Summit.
CREI.
CREI.
They have a summit every year, which just happened in Atlanta.
Yeah.
In fact, I was in Atlanta at the same time for about 2 hours because I was at the airport. But yeah, they do these lists. So top LinkedIn influencers, top Twitter influencers, all in commercial real estate. And we were number 10 on the podcast list.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Which was awesome. So thank you guys for the recognition. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I think
like
season
blowing
2,
wind in our sails. So very cool.
Yes. And that gives us something to shoot for next year. Number one, which you all can help by hitting subscribe and dinging that little bell and giving us feedback and sharing this with your friends. And if say you don't like the show, share it with your enemies. ACXNE0N. Hi, I really like your channel. Can you do a video on life science real estate?
Life science real estate.
Yeah, and I responded today saying, let me ask the expert and get back to you. So what is that?
just think about biology jobs, labs, biotech.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm thinking of when I hear that.
Yeah.
And the real estate they use. And so in some markets that are big enough, you have people that specialize in that type of real estate.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, so.
Well, I'm making notes right now because this is the exact feedback that we're looking for. Boston 826, great episode. I met Daynon out in Phoenix. Great guy, very knowledgeable. Bring him back for another. And we will. We will. Thanks, Boston. Sadel, Leonardo. Great show, guys. Thank you for the good content on every episode. Thank you for that. That's amazing. Jade, Todd, Emmy Travels. Great advice on voicemails. People are much less likely to return your call if the voicemail that you leave has no enthusiasm. Sounding like a funeral director, no offense to funeral directors, is not productive. We are new subscribers. Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you very much. JM20375. Perfect timing. I've been telling my senior partner that I want to be more proactive with our listings and rely less on the 3 Ps. I recently became a member candidate and have site to do business, but didn't understand how to do a void analysis. I'm all over this. Thank you.
Nice. Do you remember what the 3 Ps are?
Yes. Put up a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Put it online and pray.
And pray.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
That's right. Alexis Cincio 9397. Can you guys do an episode or segment on medical office development / med office prospecting for agents? Cool. Noted. Thank you. The Rob Parisi. Do you know Rob Parisi?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Bo, this is epic.
Epic.
Awesome. Epic. Industrialized from a few months ago. Love how his designation is ADHD to your CCIM.
That's Chad.
That's Chad.
Yeah.
That's Chad. We love Chad. 1031, Broker James. Dart Mouth. Timmy does have ADHD. LOL. Great stuff, gents.
Now that's James Bean.
James Bean?
My buddy, he's a 1031 expert in Southern California. He lives in Oxnard, California.
Oxnard. Rafael Coyazzo. I knew it was not Collazo. Coyazzo. Because I've heard you say that name several times. He was in the top 10, the list of the top 10 podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
What's the name of his podcast?
Commercial Real Estate 101.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think that's the one. And he's in Louisville, Kentucky. He's on the CCIM chapter board for Kentucky with me.
I don't think I realized he was in Louisville.
Great dude. Yeah, we've talked since the beginning about having him on.
Season 2, baby.
We need to get him on season 2.
Because you were on his podcast before we even did this, right? Yeah.
He's going to have a tremendous amount of success, but he's a really good dude.
Yeah. I can't wait to meet him. A big shout out. I don't know if I've ever shouted him out here.
Yep.
But he said, this is a great episode. Really cool to hear about your dad's experience. Great storyteller. And I responded. I was like, yeah, I feel the same. Magnolia Group Real Estate. It's from Alex. And we met these two guys.
Yeah.
They came in and we talked to them.
We went to lunch with them.
We went to lunch with them. We showed them the studio. He goes, Timmy, your stories have me cracking up on my drive today. Keep up the awesome work, guys. Thanks for that, Alex.
Yeah, one of those guys was my fraternity brother, right?
Yeah, that's right.
At Murray State.
That's right.
Sorry.
Those guys were great, and I look forward to seeing what they do.
Them.
CRE Tech Pulse, which I think is Michael Hironomous, 3 months ago, just said great work. Yeah. It's funny because when I was going through and looking at these, I was like, oh, some of these are people we've had on. They were commenting way before
we had them on.
I was like, oh, I now know who CRE Tech Pulse is. So shout out Scott Carlin. If we remember, Scott Carlin was a winner whenever we were getting cities to do a market analysis on. And he wrote, here's a comment from him. Wow, great job, guys. I think we all learned so much from these past few episodes. I know I did. Just hearing you guys talk through the data and provide your perspective helps us tremendously. That was really fun to do that. It was like a series, I think, of ultimately 3 or 4 episodes where we're doing a market analysis. And going through Moody's site to do business and everything that you would do, ultimately getting to a specific area for Scott Carlin, who won the drawing.
That's right.
Becker 111111111. I feel like I've done that before.
I think you have too.
Yeah. The numbers are low for the quality of the podcast, but it's also a very niche market. Nevertheless, congrats and wishing you exponential growth. Cheers. thank you so much. And I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Quality is so much higher than the following we have on YouTube. Yep. So all of those of you listening right now, go ahead, hit subscribe on YouTube.
So I got an email from somebody that was in my class this past week in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, great.
David Keller. He says, you've gained a faithful follower of your podcast. Unfortunately, I didn't know about it prior to the course, but I'm glad I've now been introduced to it. You've struck a chord with a podcast that is both grounded in relevant information and entertaining. Well, thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
It was great to have you in the class.
That's amazing. Speaking of people who've taken your class, from Laura Dahatier. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing I'm not sorry. I'm doing my best, y'all. 4684, Laura. Great episode. Thank you for all the juicy info. I attended Bo's CCIM class, and these episodes seem like a consistent continuation of everything we learn in CCIM. I appreciate you guys. Keep up the good work.
Now, when I spoke in Port St. Lucie a couple weeks ago, I'm pretty sure she was in the audience.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I didn't get to talk to her after. But I remember looking at her, and it was one of those, wait, I know you. Where do I know you? And then it dawned on me. I think she was in the Tucson class in January.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
And she's the one where I told the story about the Ukrainian criminals.
Oh, yeah.
And I happened to look right at her.
Yeah, that's
and she
right.
was like, what are you trying to say? You know? She was like, she's from the country like next to Ukraine. I think Moldova or something like
right.
that. And
you just happened to look at her.
I just happened to look at her. It was embarrassing.
This is from, and this also highlights one of my other favorite moments on the podcast. This is from Elon Musk, 4836. If you're a professional magician, practice your double lift and develop a more natural handling. If you're just starting out, nice trick. So there was a period of time there where I was really into cards. I'm still into cards, and it'll come back because I love doing it. And work, I've been like, when I'm waiting for things to export and go, I'm really doing a lot with the handling. But I did several card tricks for you. Brad Ahrens came in and like, he was the best audience I could have when it came to card tricks. He loved them, fooled him.
Yeah, in Mom and Dad's kitchen.
But there were several that I've done for you on the show where you figured it out, right? You figured it out, except there was one in particular. It might have been the last one I did on the show.
The messy card trick.
The messy card trick. It just blew your mind, and that was a highlight for me.
I've got a quick card trick for you.
Okay, let's do it.
Just make sure this looks nice and shuffled up.
Well, that was even just nice how you did that.
I know. I wanted to show you that
that
too.
happened.
Well, this is called the slop card trick, or the messy card trick.
Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, I'll just take a few of these, flip them over. So I'm just going to flip.
Oh, see, that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See,
Yeah,
like
you
I
hate
felt that in my gut.
Well,
like
feel it when I show you, right?
Okay.
Boom. Yeah. Feel it when I show you. Yeah. See?
Okay.
A little mixed up. Even that. Okay. So I just want to show you. I'm just going to flip that over because I think it'd be cool to do this.
Oh.
Except for those four. Hold on. What do we got here?
No. What?
No way. Huh? Told you it was quick.
That was...
Man, yeah, you got all anxious too with a mixed up deck.
That was really good. I've watched it about 20 times since then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the moment, that one was like...
Yeah. Y'all, thank you so much for all the feedback that we get via emails.
I think of all the things, though, like with the reviews and subscribing, we always try to remind you to do that stuff because, one, it helps us. It really helps the show. And on these platforms, it allows more people to find the show, which is really the value in it. And so the more you can subscribe or review, doing that kind of thing, it really just helps others find the show, helps the show grow, which further encourages us to keep doing it. Yeah, we appreciate it. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing that you can do to help us continue to grow and keep going.
Absolutely. And specifically during this break, too.
Yeah.
I want to challenge each one of you to share something, whether it's a clip, whether it's a whole episode. Think about somebody you could share it with and send it to them. That would mean so much to us if you did that on this break.
Yeah.
And again, we're not going dark for this time. There's going to be lots.
No, stay engaged. We're paying attention, And so when you respond, when you leave comments, like you'll hear back from us.
That's
And
right.
We really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay engaged.
Please do. Please do. We love you all very much. And I mean, it's the reason we do this. It's the reason we do this ultimately. Like, because we're actually, it seems to be having an effect, a positive effect on other people.
Yep.
And that's incredible. We got season 2 coming October 14th. And so I'm excited to see what we do from there. I don't know how long the seasons are going to be moving forward.
Probably not 75 episodes.
Probably not 75 episodes, but yeah, again, it took about 75 episodes in. We didn't miss a week. We always figured out something, even when there was a crazy week in there where I was on set and you were, doing classes where it's like, okay, let's, I can throw something together here. But, I'm just looking forward to getting ahead of the game, having things in the hoop, and really being just extra intentional about what we're doing and doing it for you all, and just leveling up on all around. And it's because y'all. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yep. All right. Cool. Hit subscribe. Ding that little bell. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Bye,
Bye,
Alice.
Alice.